Hi, this is Matt, the Do-Over Guy Terrio, and welcome to Your Do-Over, Episode 3.
During an era where countless people, businesses, and organizations are feeling the pinch, running out of time, running out of money, losing confidence, feeling as if life is unfair, praying for another chance, and unless something is done, life is going to pass them by. Fortunately, in the nick of time, there is now a place where the ignored, underestimated, and unknown steps to producing results and making life work are revealed. Save your career, save your business, save your health, save your relationships, save your life. Get from where you are to where you want to be, faster and with greater ease than you ever thought possible. Say hello to your do-over.
Welcome to Your Do-Over, the place where once a week you will hear, learn, and take action on the ignored, underestimated, and unknown steps to producing results. This is the show where I, along with my network, show people dissatisfied with their current situation how to start over, discover a better life, and get lasting results easier, faster, and smarter. Tonight, coming to you from downtown Los Angeles with an awesome show. I'm actually very pumped up as I just received in the mail from my publisher the first paperback copy of my book, Do-Over. The ebook and audiobook, they've been available for a while, a couple months now, but the paperback is now here. I wrote this book specifically to show people that are discontent or unhappy with their lives how to start over, discover a better life, and get lasting results so they can actually enjoy life again. I know our country could use a whole lot more of that right about now. So if you want to pick up a copy, you can go to dooverbook.com, purchase it there. If you're new to this podcast, I suppose we're all new to this podcast. This is only our third episode. So if you've never heard of me, if you're new to me, so to speak, and you're a little cautious, I understand. You can also go to dooverbook.com and download the first couple of chapters for free. What's funny is I recently took a personal thought assessment online, and perhaps I'll discuss it in detail on another episode, but the results were pretty interesting. It revealed that I'm very open to new ideas and concepts, but have a very high level of suspicion around the source of which I receive that information. So I'm assuming there are others out there just like me, so I did make the first couple chapters of Do-Over available for free to give you a little bit more of an inside look at who this Do-Over guy character is. And again, you can get that at dooverbook.com. Okay, enough of that. Let's get on with the show. Last week I introduced you to my good friend and mentor, Jay Massey. If you remember, he's having a field day in today's real estate market. My guest today, however, had a very different experience in the world of real estate investing. He essentially lost everything over the last few years. And like so many people in our country right now, he's found himself midlife calling for a do-over. He's also a good friend of mine, and I'm happy to hear he's doing very well as he's resumed pursuing his passion of physical fitness and well-being. He's building a new successful CrossFit business in Lake Charles, Louisiana. If you've never heard of CrossFit, their slogan, Forging Elite Fitness, pretty much says it all. He's a man of great integrity and compassion. I admire him for his balance of confidence and empathy. He's been a really close friend of mine for a while, and if you've known him for more than 30 seconds, he's probably somebody you already call friend as well. That's just the type of great guy that he is. So without any more delay, I introduce to you Mr. John Wilson. Hey, John, thank you for being here and taking the time to share with us your do-over.
Thank you, Matt, for having me.
You bet. So things are going really well for you right now in the world of physical fitness, and I want to hear all about it. But can you begin with what you were doing just prior to your current endeavor and lead me up to where you are and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. I was in an organization that marketed and sold real estate investing education. And it was a great company, great idea, great system around real estate investing. And because I was involved in that, I'd also got into and was pretty heavily involved in real estate and some real estate development as well. So I had taken the education and applied it in my own life and started to do some developing and some rental properties and things of that nature. And as it happened, it was the quintessential great idea, the right idea, but absolutely the wrong time. So if you remember what's happened over the last couple of years, starting back in 2007, I closed on 4 properties in California in February of 2007 and 600 acres in Alabama in January of 2007. And I'm not sure if you remember exactly what was going on in the mortgage world at that time, but that's when the entire industry started to take a huge hit, and a lot of people and a lot of property owners, that was the beginning of it. So if you saw me right now, I think I burned from writing those properties down, but it was an incredible experience, and it took me back to one of my first loves, which is the fitness industry. I lost literally everything that I had worked for a number of years in that mortgage decline, debacle, whatever we would want to put a title around it for, and it got me back into fitness. Now, the interesting thing about that was, as I've gotten back into fitness, I've continually redefined everything from my definition of success to what makes me happy on a daily basis to what I'm committed to creating on a daily basis in my life and in the lives of others. So it's taken me full circle to an extent, from being very happy and excited about making a lot of money to being very happy, excited, not making a lot of money, but feeling a much greater sense of contribution and service and a greater sense of satisfaction altogether.
Got it. You kind of mentioned what was going on in the mortgage industry, and I think you pretty much have to have your head in the sand in this country to not remember what was going on just a few years ago and what had happened to our economy. But when things are going really good, I mean, it's easy to feel unconquerable, and I remember knowing you back then, and you were just such a pillar of confidence and the consummate success. When the change came and the financial world changed, what was really like the first sign that you saw that this isn't any good, and how did you respond to that?
Well, interestingly enough, there was no specific event. It was a series of things that was almost like a storm coming in, where the barometric pressure drops a little bit, and if you have arthritis, your knees start to ache a little bit, and then it gets a little bit darker, then it gets a little bit darker, then the breeze starts to blow. I mean, it was literally a series of events that I believe began with, and it wasn't very long, you're talking about how great timing was, wasn't very long after we closed on the acreage that we had down south to start developing. We were in conversations with partners that were of national caliber. I mean, the real estate division of Prudential Life Insurance, with decision makers in that realm, and having conversations about doing joint ventures with them on these pieces of property that we had acquired along Interstate 20 down in Alabama. And, as these companies started to see what we had planned, and as their demeanor started to change, because at that level, they seemed to know well in advance of what someone on the ground level, like they're on the 50th floor of the skyscraper or the 100th floor, I'm on the street, in terms of experience and financial viabilities. I mean, these are, people involved in multinational and hundreds of millions of dollar companies. They started to look back and share stories with me of large nationwide builders like KB Homes and Lennar Homes and all these people walking away from earnest money that they had put down on literally thousands of acres of property nationwide. And it hadn't filtered down to the little guy that was just trying to do one development here, one development there, but they were already starting to back out. And I think the general sense that I had with my partners was, because of the scale of the things that we were trying to do, that we should be able to get it done. We were very wrong. We were very wrong. And, it was a constant adjustment, because we found ourselves redefining, and I think we went through 3 or 4 revisions of what the best and highest use of the land that we had acquired was going to be. And it was simply, we were having to adjust to the market. And we didn't know. We were one step behind, because as things adjusted and loans were being made for no longer for residential, we were going to try a small commercial model. Well, and the small commercial was looking for tenants. You had to have tenants, but the national tenants that you really want in a commercial development were pulling back, and they weren't expanding so much. So these big box stores like Circuit City and Best Buy and everywhere else all of a sudden weren't expanding like they had been. And it was fortunate in one end to be connected to the type of people that could have those conversations with us. But on the other hand, we had just enough confidence and belief to think that we could have, made it happen anyway. And I think that was the beginning of the end. And it was our response, literally. I believe it was the best response that we had access to. We didn't absolutely knee-jerk react. We thought about it, we planned, we looked, we consulted with people, and then we responded to the changes that we felt were necessary. And unfortunately, it was just, once the momentum had started downward, you can have negative and positive momentum. This was definitely negative momentum, and we rode that baby down.
Yeah, along with the rest of the country, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so knowing what you know now, they say hindsight is 20/20, and that's somewhat of a theme of this show, is taking people, successful people like yourself, taking their hindsight and transforming it into your foresight. So knowing what you know now, how would you have responded differently under the same conditions?
Well, it's an interesting. That's a great question, and it's, in terms of how we laid out the business, found investors, the path that we took to create the developments that we wanted to create, I wouldn't have changed anything. What I would have done differently would have been to bite off much smaller pieces. I was just lucky enough to be on the road for a while with Anthony Robbins, and I really found, by surrounding yourself with people who want to play a game, that, if you're going to go down for a big game. Don't go down trying to put your shoes on in the morning, and that was, we really went for it. Now, in hindsight, the one thing that I would have done would have been to start with a much smaller little piece of the pie and say, let's just do one, do it really well, do it right, and then let's do 3. Then let's do 5. Then let's do 7, instead of going, okay, let's look to see how we can do 100. Mm-hmm. And at the market, the development we were looking at, it was going to be over 100 homes in one area, and then we would still have basically another couple hundred acres free and clear once that was done. And as the market shifted and changed, I believe I would have had more due diligence done and not relied so much on the people that I thought were experts, and consulted a number of different entities to do so. I mean, we chatted with a number of people. It's not like we just talked to one person and went, okay, let's do that. I would have, I believe, done even more, because what I remember seeing now were people that had teams, not just 3 or 4 or 5, but teams of people consulting on what the best and highest use could be and how they would going to make it work. So I think that is kind of a long answer, but I think that pretty much exemplifies what would have been different.
Your answer to this next question, it might have been laced into your response of the last one. Mm-hmm. But is there one mistake that you made that you swear you'll never make again, like a universal mistake that can really translate to any business?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Not following my gut.
Not following your gut.
Not following my gut. There was a moment when I was about to sign and close on my rental properties, my personal rental properties. And in that moment, I had a flash of, you know what, maybe you need to back out and look at it from 50,000 feet again and just really consider. But I was there, there was a little bit of pressure. Let's just get these papers signed. Let's get it done, get it done, get it done. And I just kind of pushed that feeling aside and did it anyway. I have to say I have not done that to myself since.
Right.
So anytime I've had one of those gut feelings or one of those intuitions, God winks, God slaps, whatever you want to call it, I've absolutely listened to it. And I have to say, since then, it's been spot on. I have absolutely not done certain things, and they've absolutely worked out the way that I thought they would, which was they didn't.
Right.
And thankfully, I was not involved in it.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified, because I really thought your answer was to that you would never follow your gut again. But what you meant was you would.
No.
Got it, because I often say follow your gut and follow it fast, and that's a great...
Yes, I would absolutely listen to my gut and my intuition, and I did not do that. I listened to it, I heard it, and I put it aside, and it was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, I'm glad we clarified that. I thought we were taking a left turn on this interview. I was like, uh-oh. Okay, yeah, exactly. Well, now that you're on your way back up, what new habits or disciplines have you had to adopt in your do-over, so to speak?